Harsh, I think a big moment for all of us with bringing in DigiDocs to India as the first company to bring that to India. So, it's been another milestone in our journey as Melento. So I just wanted to have some more, because there's a lot of conversation which is happening around DigiDocs internally. And I'm sure with customers also, we are here getting a lot of inquiries and, there are a lot of questions which they have about DigiDocs. So maybe we could look at it from, from the product standpoint where Harsh can talk about DigiDocs, and from your perspective as, the face of Melento, where you go and approach customers from the sales standpoint, what are some of the things that you're hearing there, right? So, Harsh, to begin with, for somebody who's hearing about DigiDocs for the very first time, in simple terms, could you explain what it means?
So, Karthik, I'll take one analogy to explain DigiDocs in a simpler terms. So, what happens in the entire payment ecosystem of ours? If you go yesteryears, it was largely cash transactions or cash deposits. Then it moved to checks, which used to take for about 3-4 days, check transfer and all. Then it moved to net banking, which used to take about 3-4 hours. And then what revolutionized is the entire UPI, the India payment stack, where you can get instantly sent payments across to anyone within seconds. That's exactly what DigiDoc does. Be it midnight 12 a.m. or be it morning 5 a.m. or be it afternoon 4 p.m. or anywhere, you want a stamp paper, you get it instantly. That's what DigiDoc enables.
Okay, that's interesting. But when we started digital stamping itself, and now we work with a lot of banks and insurance companies and other organizations. So for somebody who's already using this digital stamping, how does this further enhance their process, or what's so different?
Yeah. So with the current process, there are still a lot of manual steps which is involved. We need to predict the inventory which the banks will require. The banks will need to place the pre-orders. We need to procure the stamp papers. We need to make them available in the inventory for them to consume in a real-time basis. This entire process gets eradicated with the implementation of DigiDoc. There is no need of manual step. You want today stamp paper, you get it at this moment.
So, Anoop, from a customer standpoint, right? So when you go and talk to somebody about DigiDoc and you're introducing DigiDoc to the customer, what are some common misconceptions that you come across with respect to digital stamping? And what usually surprises them the most when you tell them about this?
Right. Thanks, Karthik. That's a very important question that, because a lot of organizations now are using digital stamping system. But for them, the digital stamping system definition, there is a misconception they actually have. One is that converting a physical stamp paper to the digital mode by, scanning and uploading, they consider it as a digital process. But actually, the process is not completely digital. It's phygital in nature. They are procuring the papers first, we are uploading it, and then it is ready for consumption in repository. That is a misconception. They feel, okay, I am already digitized. But what change we are bringing through DigiDocs? DigiDoc is that, like Harsh said, we are going to remove the entire turnaround time before execution of the document. Whatever turnaround time we had before for procurement, etc., which could be like 4 to 5 days, right now that will be eliminated. And what we are going to give them is just during the execution of the document, stamp paper is generated.
Wow.
So that is a surprising or a wow factor for the clients to know that, okay, I don't have to go through the entire pain of procurement, waiting and everything. So that is the surprising factor we all have, and we are going to bring it to the client.
Okay. And I remember we were having this conversation about a lot of these NBFCs still not going digital, or they're still thinking about should they move this path. What is some advice that you have for them now that with...
Yeah, so there is one line of advice or one line of suggestion that we always give, that if digitization or digital documentation is not there with you, which is actually creating, a process problem or revenue degrowth for you or a business degrowth for you, then we have a solution. And what DigiDocs is going to do is giving one more step towards complete digital documentation. So let's say, as I said, 3 to 4 days of wait, turnaround time is now converted into 3 minutes of execution. That is what DigiDocs does. So that is something which we are doing.
Okay. So one is with respect to cutting down of the time itself that was involved, but I think more importantly from the compliance standpoint as well, it can definitely help them. Because I think Harsh, you had shared that news recently, right? So what 100 odd NBFCs had to,
The license got cancelled
because of the
various
RBI
factors. Yeah.
compliance and
Yes.
requirements.
Yes.
So how do you
Definitely.
see this playing a part with that scenario?
So it's just basically the management of the stamp duty. Any loan agreement from a government point of view, you need to pay a stamp duty, and you
Correct.
need to pay a right stamp duty amount.
Correct.
When the things were physical, it was very badly misused in terms of people not disclosing the right loan amount and paying less stamp duty, and it affecting the entire government's revenue from that point of view and all. When it moved to phygital, it solved a problem to a certain extent, but there are always the loopholes, which if any person wants to find out, there are ways to find out any phygital. But with DigiDoc, eliminates completely any gaps from a compliance point of view. There is, you need to declare the loan amount, which is mentioned in the loan agreement. You fetch it from there. Basis that the stamp duty gets calculated, and basis that stamp paper gets generated all on the fly across it within seconds. There's no need of wait. The compliance gets met, and there's no need of reconciliation. There is no need of hassle, and that's what DigiDoc enables.
So you also spoke nicely about the entire digitization journey itself, right? From the time you had checks to later UPI, and give an analogy of that to this. So if in future, your entire if you believe that digital stamping is also going to become as common as the digital signatures that we have, how do you see the next few years looking like towards that journey, and why should probably companies start moving towards that now itself?
So what happened with digital signing, that entire Aadhaar EPS stack, what happened is that it democratized the entire signing process. Today, anyone and anyone sitting in Andamans of the world or Himalayas of the world can do a digital signature signing remotely to an Aadhaar base. That's how the entire infrastructure is created from that perspective. And DigiDoc does the same thing for digital stamping. You be anywhere, you be at any time, any place, you need to process a loan, you have agreed for a loan terms and conditions, and you want to go ahead and process it. You don't have to bother about the time. You don't have to bother about if people are there. Systems are available up and running 24/7. You punch in the details, you get the stamp paper, and that's it. It will really democratize the entire BFSI industry from that perspective. And going forward, I feel that this will still further expand to non-BFSI sectors as well, where there are needs of still stamp papers and there are still needs of the stamp duty to be paid. While the use of it might be lesser, but still there is a use case where that exists.
Okay. So Anoop, if any new customers are listening to this right now, what is that one message that you want to give them about why they should embrace DigiDocs?
This is not just for the new customers, or it's for both new and our existing customers. They have this apprehension that they might have this apprehension that we need to do a lot of integrations or technical expertise is required to use DigiDoc through Melento, which is not. Thanks to our product and tech team, they have enabled us, the Melento as well as the other organization, to have a very seamless integration. Actually, our APIs have accepted or absorbed all the necessary required variables to execute DigiDocs stamp papers. So there are minimal changes the clients or customers has to do at their end. So it's what I'm saying is just 2 to 3 days of testing and they can go live with DigiDocs. Wow. So that is something, one message I would like to say, that this is going to be seamless in terms of implementation and execution.
Yeah.
So anything else that you want to add?
No, I guess that's a very important point. When we were doing the entire implementation, working along with the stockholding of corporation who has enabled DigiDoc because of this thing, perspective that it's not only about new customers, as he mentioned. There are already an existing customers who is already prevalent to any certain existing system, certain existing way of working, and certain existing, which cannot change overnight. You cannot expect any kind of a migration or change can happen overnight. Business has to run. Business cannot be stopped because of any new process which has to run. So when that problem is there, then how do we really solve it? So that's where we have really architectured it well, that there is zero or very minimal change which is required from an existing customers. That way, the adoption towards DigiDoc, adoption towards the advantages of DigiDoc or what DigiDoc brings, people can really see it faster, adopt faster, and see the value faster, and that's how the entire economy grows.
What I hear from both of you is that DigiDocs it's a matter of when than if, and I think it is something which is going to transform both existing users of digital stamping as well as new people who want to embrace digital stamping for the very first time. And I think this again is a very interesting journey in that entire digitization process that India is going through, and we are really happy to be a part of that historical moment once again. So thank you, Anoop and Harsh, for sharing these insights about DigiDocs. and it was really nice having this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks, Karthik.
Thank you so much, Karthik.